Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC Fight Night 269. In this matchup, we have Bolaji Oki taking on Manoel Sousa. So this is, I think, going to be a pretty fun card. Or sorry, this is going to be a pretty fun fight. Sousa, if you don't know who he is, he's probably most famous for being the only other person besides Benoit Saint-Denis to defeat Marcinho Hufi. He actually knocked him out. I saw that too. It was mostly because Hufi, hadn't fully refined, I think, the slickness of his style, but he essentially got caught by a left hook by Sousa. And I guess that goes to show Sousa hits incredibly hard. But it's one of these fights where I don't think the odds are right. I'll say this now. Souza is actually the 3-1 favorite. I don't know if I fully agree with that. I feel like this fight's going to be a little closer. Now, looking at Manuel Sousa, he's currently 13-1 as a professional, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Now, he's making his UFC debut, but he's actually also fought in Bellator and the PFL. Now, in the Contender Series, he defeated Christian Perez in what was a pretty good come-from-behind victory. Now, looking at Bolaji Oki, he's currently 10-3 as a professional, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Now, in the UFC overall, he is currently 4-4. Beat Timmy Kawamba in his debut, then lost to Christian Duncan, who's on a heater right now. Then got a win against Michael Aswell in a fun fight, and then most recently got TKO'd by Mason Jones. So kind of, win-loss for Bolaji Oki. But he's losing to seemingly really good up-and-comers. But with that said, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Bolaji Oki, he is primarily a striker. I would say his boxing is probably the strongest part of his game. He's a solid athlete for sure, and Oki, he tends to do well in exchanges, particularly when he's able to put combinations together, like body-head combinations. He's very good at layering punches and finding openings during striking sequences. That ability to win exchanges can be a bigger factor in the fight, especially because I think both are mostly going to strike. Now, Bolaji Oki, he also tends to maintain good composure during striking battles, which allows him to land clean counters and accumulate damage over time. There's one thing worth mentioning: the level of competition, right? Now, Timmy Kawamba, I think, could do something in the bantamweight division. Not a whole lot, but could do something. Michael Aswell is a good featherweight. But you notice that this is a lightweight fight, right? So that means Bolaji Oki's 2 UFC wins are against 2 guys who moved down a weight class. And, to be fair, Oki did look much bigger than both of them. So it's hard to say how good his recent success translates against naturally larger opponents, because Chris Duncan is a natural lightweight, and so is Mason Jones. I mean, actually, not granted, Jones did fight at featherweight, but since filling out to lightweight, he's done much better. And so you notice Bolaji Oki doesn't have the same level of success. And that's what I think a key factor is. Now, technically speaking, he is still very good with his boxing and still can win rounds with his striking. Now, looking at Manoel Sousa, you would notice on the Contender Series, not only did he get a good TKO win over Christian Perez, but in the first 2 rounds, he did get thoroughly out wrestled and controlled. However, he had the better cardio at the end of the day. Perez seemingly just over wrestled, where he just kept shooting takedown after takedown after takedown, and he got tired. And eventually, Sousa was just able to beat him to the punch, as well as TKO. But you get my idea. That shows 2 things. One, he carries good power that lasts all the way to the 3rd. Second, he's dangerous even when he's losing the fight. Another thing that works in favor for Sousa is his experience as well. He has, not only just a few more fights than Oki, like by 1, but he's seemingly fought better competition in the PFL and Bellator. Actually, I take that back. He has some good experience under the bright lights of PFL and Bellator. The guys he's been like Tim Weld, right? 17 17, 4-1. That's a pretty good record than most other fighters who come from the Contender Series, like Bolaji Oki himself as well. So just to note, like Manoel Sousa has some good competition under his belt. I mean, Marcinho Hufi's one of them. So while he may not look dominant minute to minute, he has the power that could change a fight instantly. Now, how I see the style clash going, it's most likely comes down to the exchanges on the feet. Oki probably has the cleaner boxing and may win many of the technical exchanges. Excuse me. But Souza has the kind of power that can make every exchange dangerous. If Oki is winning rounds but getting drawn into prolonged striking exchanges, that creates, I think, openings for Souza to land something big. And we've already seen that Souza can finish fights even when he's behind. So that does make this a risky fight. But actually, honestly, for both of them, but more so, I think, for Oki. So the way I see with my final assessment, I think Oki might be the more technically consistent striker and could very well win rounds with his boxing combinations. But Sousa's power and ability to stay dangerous throughout the fight makes him a serious threat. And even if he's losing some of the early exchanges, all it takes is one shot, it seems, to at least, even if he doesn't knock out Bolaji Oki, certainly stun him and hurt him. And because of that knockout threat, this fight feels much closer, at the very least, because I think Oki is still technically more skilled. So I think even though Oki's the favorite, it should be closer than 3-1. Or sorry, the underdog. It still feels more like not even a pick 'em, but much closer than the 3-1 odds would have you believe. But still, for my official prediction, I'm gonna go with Manoel Sousa. Not the most confident pick on the card. I think Oki has many ways to win. Mostly it is through being the technically superior striker. Now, could he wrestle? Sure, Oki's used it occasionally, but more so on the defensive side, not offensive, but who knows? It is MMA. But I think Sousa's power is the real difference maker in this one. So once again, I'm going to pick Manuel Sousa to win, and I'm going to pick him via knockout. But with that being said, that has been my breakdown of this fight. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think's going to win. But until then, I have been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.